This guy's going man mode.
Unreal. Look at
my
this.
goodness.
Wow.
Oh, can he make it? He did.
Oh, he's got it.
Poor cheese. Oh, Monkey's burned.
Spot.
Oh my god.
Richard! Oh my god, it was... Oh, he got it! Dead! Richard is in the lead. No, they're tied. Richard just died as well. What? This is literally synced in the final escape.
All right.
Hello there, everyone. Hey, Graham, how's it going?
Go ahead, Sigma.
Oh, yeah,
Take it away.
will do. We did this real good. Real perfect. Real good intro. Okay, hey, so it's Ori time. And we've got a really nice match here. It's going to be one of the division finals coming up between IMRaziel and Covert Muffin. So Muffin has fought his way back from the lower bracket and is battling IMRaziel here in a best of 3.
That is right. We have a lot to say about both the match and these runners. They were nice enough to give us all kinds of information on top of the information that we already have. I guess we'll just start by reminding everyone what this match is going to be like, given that it is the division final. So Sigma, I'll toss back to you for that one.
Yeah, so we do have to give some advantage to the upper bracket players. So this is a best of 3 match, but it's considered that IMRaziel has already won one match, even though he never played against Muffin in this tournament. He made it through the upper bracket, Muffin came through the lower bracket, so we're in a best of 3. We're already on game 2 technically. IMRaziel having a 1-game lead, so if Raz manages to win any of the next 2 games, he's on to the quarterfinals. Covert Muffin needs 2 in a row to take Raz down.
That's right, and that's going to be especially challenging for Muffin because to win 1 against IMRaziel is difficult for anyone. We'll kind of jump right into the PBs. First of all, IMRaziel there over in the left column, his PB is 2943, so that's just, well, it's ridiculous. It's very, very good. There are very limited players on the planet who have a sub 30. Muffin's time is also quite good at a 3117, but compared to that 2943 is going to be a challenge. That said, IMRaziel also told us that in his own words, a PB ain't happening, and so you know, comparing directly against IMRaziel's 2943 might not be super accurate, but IMRaziel is still favored to win for that reason, just because of the PB differential.
Yeah, it's pretty likely that IMRaziel will get a 30 or a 31, and Muffin would be very hard-pressed to get a 30, but he can definitely pull off a 31, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
That's right, and speaking of Muffin getting a 31, one piece of the information that Muffin gave us before the match started was that out of Muffin's previous 6 runs, 4 of them have been 31s, and the other 2 was a 32 and a 33. So Muffin has been very, very consistent. And Raz, I'm sure, is doing just fine as well, but I don't know offhand exactly how consistent he's been, apart from the fact that he just recently got a 30-55. That's the only data point that I have.
Yeah, it looks like we're on the race screen now. We're ready to get going soon. Muffin, of course, giving us a little bit of the forlorn cutscene as the screen transitions over, but SRL countdown is done. Racers are off. We'll be going through Glades shortly. And no prologue soft locks, so that's always good to see.
It is very, very good. Reminder that you can always look in the middle of these skill wheels, kind of on the bottom half of the screen, to see who's currently in the lead. And even though it's something we just mentioned, you can also look kind of in the center of the screen, just beneath the two game windows. And you can see that IMRaziel already has that 1 win under his belt. Even though, as you mentioned, Raz didn't technically beat Muffin, it's meant to... The whole reason we did this tournament format the way that we did was that we wanted to give players a chance to win back if they made one dumb mistake.
Oh my god! Muffin died to the Rhino!
Holy cow.
That's like... Okay, so you normally people just mess around and, you know, kind of do whatever there, because it's really easy to do that part, but getting started off a bit on the wrong foot there, so that's a tournament first there, but it's not a big death. I mean, as far as early game deaths go, that's one of the least costly ones. It's just kind of funny that it happened.
Knowing Muffin, he's probably laughing about it. Like, that death is gonna either really help your nerves or really hurt it. It's hard to say which.
Yeah, I know Muffin has some troubles like with nerves in races, so I'm hoping that that has the effect of just relaxing him. Just like it's just so funny. Like you have to laugh about something like that, but it'll give Raz a bit of a lead going through the early game here, and nothing going awry for Raz so far. Muffin, had a great Frankie fight and is progressing nicely through here as well. So I think he's shaking it off, and Raz takes a little bit of a dip on the spikes there. That was not intentional, so. Have to watch his health, and oh my god,
that's rough. That's really, really rough. Remember that we are trying to damage boost down to 1 intentionally, but exactly where you take damage is usually pretty controllable, but sometimes you get a bit unlucky and it kind of just throws you off of your rhythm. And those slimes in particular have, they're kind of notorious for being snipers, very accurate snipers, and unfortunately one of those little spikes just hit Raziel. That hurts.
Yeah. I feel like those slimes are easy to dodge if you have 2 health. And you actually want it. Oh, but my god, Raz trying to push his way through the bramble wall a little bit faster, runs into them and takes another death. So he's taking a huge amount of time loss on this early split here.
This has been a very unexpected start, especially for runners of this caliber. Muffin had that early death, which, as you said, wasn't very costly. It was just so unusual. But then Raziel turned around with not 1 but 2 deaths, and both of them were more substantial. Muffin took a bit of damage getting through his elbow, by the way, but he will be just fine. Raziel also took some damage over on the left, so he's going to have to be careful that he doesn't take a 3rd death, but he should be okay. Famous last words, probably.
Yeah, I assume he was at 3 health taking that damage boost, so that he could damage boost right here. Yeah, he's still, not letting things shake him and, try to play overly safe, because I'd say 99 times out of 100, Raziel will get up to this Ghost Door trick he just did perfectly fine, but this time, it was just the stars aligned, and man, he ate a lot of time loss there, but fortunately for him, he has a 1-game lead.
That is very, very fortunate, and although that is going to be a pretty substantial deficit, much more than we would have expected for a split like wall jump, we do have a lot of race left, and there are plenty of races for Muffin himself to make mistakes and let Raziel catch up, although, of course, I hope that Muffin can continue and get a very, very clean time despite the Rhino kind of giving him grief early on.
Yeah, and one thing to point out is, Richard, doing the restream and giving us stats tells us Muffin is not watching the restream here, so he is just going to assume, probably, that he's just behind. Unless he plays like perfectly up till feather, I bet you he's going to be like, I'm so behind because Raz is so fast and I took that early death. But he actually has a huge lead and he just doesn't know it.
Mm-hmm. That is very, very interesting. We get this omniscient kind of knowledge watching up from the clouds here. Raziel, by the way, is also not watching the restream, although he, in contrast with Muffin, definitely believes that he is behind, rather than Muffin thinking he's ahead, which actually, Muffin thinks he's behind and he's not. Raziel thinks he's behind and he actually is. That was a cumbersome sentence. Let's just move on. Muffin is slowly approaching Save Anywhere, the Save Anywhere trick to get into Blackroot Burrows. Doesn't seem to be having too many issues along this path, which is good.
Yeah, just a little bit of a hiccup not getting the clean jump down past the mushroom, but I mean, doesn't take any damage. Really, what this race has proven is, doesn't matter if you lose like a second here or there, just don't die. Please don't die.
That's right. I mean, it's so interesting, right? Like, going into this thing, Muffin told us that he 100% expected to lose just based on the PBs, which we mentioned when we were introducing the runners. For all Muffin knows, that is still the case, and so Muffin is going to be pretty much playing this thing like a PB attempt. As we mentioned too, Muffin also used to go for kind of a slower route to help with his nerves, and he has since abandoned that in favor of the faster route. So this is a race that Muffin is definitely taking very seriously.
Yeah,
not that he's not having fun, I hope, but you know what I mean.
Everybody's always having fun in Ori, except maybe in Blackroot Burrows. I don't think anybody has fun in here, but once we're out of here, then it's fun again.
It's not called Fun Root Burrows.
No, but it is called Fun Grotto and the Funso Tree.
You're right. I think that's what they call it in the code, yeah. May have not made the final cut, though. Well, Muffin is progressing through Blackroot Burrows just fine. He's going to make it over all these lanterns, did not take any undue damage, and seems to be on cycle. He's going to just wait a moment for that laser, and he's moving through. Is going to do an exit reload just to save a small amount of time by manipulating cycles. And then Raziel over on the left is doing just fine as well. Raziel's been doing okay since those deaths. Obviously, it just put him at a pretty huge disadvantage compared to Muffin.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to see Raz catch up time here and there, just because, you know, there is that minute-and-a-half PV difference, and Raz will just be cutting corners here and there that Muffin will probably miss out on. But, you know, it's going to take a long time for him to make up this deficit. It's basically Muffin's going to have to make a mistake if Raz wants to catch up.
That is right, and I'm just thinking about where those mistakes could happen. I mean, if it's going to happen, I guess Frankie Walk is one potential area, although Muffin is also going to do something a little bit unorthodox when it comes to his Frankie Walk, which we'll get to quite shortly. Basically, Muffin's going to be doing a save anywhere for his Frankie Walk. In his own words, it was to try to avoid a potential lag spike in Glades.
Yeah, it's a wonderful tournament strat because by doing this save anywhere, which is, it's coming up still. For now, we just have some cutscenes and whatever, so we might as well talk about it a bit. He loses about 5 seconds by not being able to do blind movement at the double jump tree, but by giving himself a save in the death gauntlet, he ensures that he can't take the, you know, minute-long deaths that we've seen come up for a few runners in the tournament so far. And it, you know, the Frankie Walk itself is pretty easy to do, even with your vision obscured with a save anywhere. So that's not the problem. He just doesn't want to, you know, have an input drop and fall off the wall into the water or have the Frankie kill him or something like that. He just makes him safe from that. So we'll see it coming up soon. He's going to get back over to the Spirit Well now that he's got dash and he can move fast along the ground. Then he'll open up his save anywhere and just kind of do a vision obscured Frankie Walk, which you'll see from Raz in, you know, about a minute when he gets caught up there.
That's right. It's kind of funny that we have 2 save anywheres open at the same time, although for very, very different reasons. Muffin just took a little bit of damage in the spikes. He should be totally fine, since you can do a 1 damage boost, excuse me, through these spikes coming up, so he should be fine. Meanwhile, to check in with Raz quickly, he did get all the cycles that he meant to get, so he's made it to dash just fine as well. Muffin does need to get through this cleanly, and he's having... No, okay, I thought Muffin was having issues with his frog, but he is still okay.
Yeah, it looks like he got over the spikes. That can be a little bit scary, especially with your vision obscured when you need to take the only 1 damage on there. But he's through now. He's going to kill the frog there. He's going to get his level and open the door, and then he's going to save and cancel that. So now, if he does die, he just goes back to where he just saved. Raz is not doing that. This is a strat that only Muffin does. So Raz will save a little bit of time with that later, but... you know, if Raz does take a death in that area, it's going to be incredibly costly. Now, I don't expect that to happen, but I also didn't expect any of the deaths in this race so far to have happened, so we'll have to keep our eyes open.
That's right. Muffin is still in the lead, but he's not in the lead by, I don't know, an enormous amount. You know, Raz here is coming up on the door. There he gets it. So Raz is going through the death gauntlet. I want to see if Muffin can get his grotto cycle. And he did! Well done.
That was really nice.
That trick is always spooky because there's a potential for a 1-frame death, but no such bad luck today. Muffin is through. That's going to gain him 8 seconds that hopefully Raziel can still match. Raziel also got a nice death glide in his death gauntlet. How many times can you say the word death? Muffin had an intentional death, etc., etc.
Yeah,
so Muffin's
hope Raz doesn't take a death here.
Yeah, be very, very unfortunate if he took the death.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. You just don't want to take deaths. They just make you slower. But he doesn't take that death. It's the non-death version of the... Okay, I'm done. Sorry, guys.
We're stretching this out a little thin. It's fine, though. Now, Muffin, at his double jump tree, did not do blind movement, and that is intentional and actually sort of required, given that Muffin spent the ability point that he would have used for the double jump blind movement. He used that for his save anywhere at the Frankie Walk. But doing the blind movement doesn't save a lot of time anyway. It just saves a little bit, but I guess that little bit will be an opportunity for Raz to catch up here and there.
Yeah, it's about 5 seconds if it's perfect, and by perfect I mean Raz will already be jumping towards the left wall above the spikes if this goes well. Some runners will opt to stand on the right wall, and okay, yeah, he did as well, just because that jump can be a little scary, so he did save about 4 seconds with that still, and that's pretty good, but Muffin has been cruising through Grotto in the meantime, making short work of all these tricky little jumps up the walls, and he's keeping a pretty good lead here, but I do think Raz is starting to claw some time back. As of double jump, they're only 30 seconds apart, and they were about a minute apart back in Glades. So, you know, Raz is definitely playing pretty well, and that's not even Muffin making any mistakes. That's just, you know, things like the blind movement or things like a death glide and death gauntlet, stuff like that.
That's right, and even there, like, Muffin got a second try grotto skip. It was a fast second try, but it was second try, and Raziel got it first try. So it's just these little things. Muffin, as you said, hasn't made any mistakes yet. I don't even see him making any, like, little movement flubs. Raziel there had an issue with that wall for just a moment, so probably sacrificed the tiny amount of time that he gained back from Grotto Skip. I'm just like trying to do all this math in my head of like analyzing all these little missed jumps here and there. Like, what does Raziel need if he's going to gain the lead back?
Yeah, that is for sure. So, coming up, we're going to be getting towards the Ginso tree. This is just kind of a movement section until then. Some collection going on, getting some cells, getting some experience, good stuff like that. Grabbing some teleporters. A little bit of a miss on that jump pad jump from Muffin there, but he manages to recover quite quickly. He'll be jumping up to this top cell. Raz catching up a little bit, just moving through Grotto, having some nice jumps there. Does not get the dash through the slime that he perhaps was looking for, but oh, okay, Muffin is in a little bit of a spooky situation. He got hit by the spinner, so now he is down to either 1 or 2 life. Depending on when his level up hit, and I hope he knows if he's at 1. We're gonna see, because normally people damage boost this, and okay, he is at 2, so that's all good.
I like the attitude. That can be very scary. Like, damage boosting through that slime that Muffin just damage boosted through is normally not a problem, but neither is the Rhino. You know, it's in a race scenario where these kinds of things that never ever kill you can just decide that today is going to be the day that they kill you. But Muffin didn't die. Neither did Raz. Raz also didn't take damage. So Muffin is still at low health, right? He's going to have to be a little bit careful moving in here, where Raziel has a bit of a health advantage at the moment, at least. Yeah,
that's for sure. But, you know, with regroup and whatnot, it's usually not too much of a problem. But that said, the Schemer room can be a little spooky if you get knocked down, but looks like Muffin has had some good movement through here. Didn't get any hits on the gamers. Will grab a health from that flower. Might place another save up here. He will. These saves are free to make at this point in the game, so everybody just, you know, drops saves as they move through Ginso, because they're going to get their energy refilled anyways. And Muffin is doing a pretty good job here, but Raz is coming in fast. He's got his save down at the bottom of the gamer room. He's going to be heading up. Muffin will be waiting in this puzzle room for a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see Raz get into this room just as Muffin's leading, but these next kind of few rooms you're stuck in for a while, so that's just how it goes.
That's right. Raz took a bit of damage on the left. He should be fine for similar reasons that Muffin was fine. There's not a lot that damages you where you can't make pretty free safety saves and all that. So Muffin's through to the mini-boss. One interesting point is that Muffin cannot see the 1-frame tell in this mini-boss fight due to his hardware. So he's just kind of trying to make smart predictions, ideally try to pace his shots to allow one of his shots to track the thing. Thankfully, this mini-boss spawned in some very fortuitous locations, got a very clean, I think that was a 5-cycle, if I read that right.
It definitely was. That was quite good. And Raz will be onto his mini-boss as well. His first, well, he already lost the 4-cycle because he only got 8 shots in the first one, but he got 10 on the second. So he can maybe get a slightly faster 5-cycle. Muffin's barely worked. Raz coming towards it now. And, well, I guess a little bit. He only needed 3 volleys on the last cycle instead of 4, but pretty much the same mini-boss for both players.
Sigma, I think this is exactly what you described. Muffin isn't making any mistakes. He's making, like, the most minor of movement errors. And just even with those alone, Raziel is just catching up a little bits of time. Raz took some damage, though. He's going to have to be careful in the pre-bash room. Back at the entrance of Ginso, we had maybe a 26 or 27 second differential, and I think it's going to be a little bit less than that at bash.
Yeah, that one little hit on the spikes Raz did might lose some of that time back. Definitely lost any of the time he saved the mini-boss back. Oh, Muffin, nice recovery on that redirect shot. He grabbed it on the second bash a little bit too early and whips out a double bash to save it. So that's pretty darn good. I know Muffin doesn't like double bashing particularly that much, so it's actually pretty cool to see him bust one out just on the fly like that.
Well, I know Muffin used to do his double bashes manually, like without.
Yeah, he still does. He doesn't scroll wheel them. He
Yeah.
doesn't have the rebinding. Like that was a manual double bash.
That's impressive. These double bash tricks are quite difficult. Easier on keyboard and mouse, but they're still difficult if you're not using scroll wheel. But anyway, Muffin got a nice key dupe, took some damage there. I think that was intentional, a kind of alternate strat to get that 4th keystone in the room. Also made a save. Maybe didn't get his death quite as fast as he wanted, but that's not going to cost him much. Raz is just, you know, still pretty much on Muffin's heels, and we still have a lot of these difficult named tricks coming up. We're heading into Swamp Entry shortly for Muffin. After that, we get to go left side, which has this whole other slew of challenges. So this is going to be interesting, I think, to see what happens over the next, I don't know, 10 minutes or so.
Yep. We're also going to see a little bit of a divergence from Muffin here. He does the early charge dash route, which involves grabbing a couple of experience orbs in this next section. Raz with a quick death after his ghost door, but that's not a big deal because he just saved. So Muffin's going to grab that experience orb. He's going to pick up a couple more. And this is to get charge dash a little bit earlier. It loses no time overall. It just kind of sinks some time now to gain it back later.
Well, while we have a second, I want to just sort of shout out Muffin, who, by his own admission, has definitely had some issues with nerves in this run. Or not this run in particular, in the tournament. If he's nervous, he's not really showing it. He's playing very, very well overall, and I really hope he can keep it up here. Has a real chance at beating Raz.
Yeah, he's onto his swamp entry right now. He's had some trouble with this trick in the past, but rocking about a 60% success rate. So he's going to move this frog over.
Oh, God!
Oh, that's... Okay,
that's bad. That's
unrecoverable. He has to take a death.
The reason that Muffin had to die there was that the health of the frog was at jeopardy. If Muffin had bashed the thing one more time, it would have died. So Muffin is still in the lead. Has to take another death. Oh, no, he's still alive. No, he's not. The frog isn't, though. Just like that. Raz killed the frog, too, though. So Raz has to sit in the poison water, slowly take a death. Muffin is taking yet another attempt at this trick. Remember that because Muffin is doing his manual double bashes, Muffin would love this frog to run to the side, and it's just not cooperating with him. It's in another bad position, could not bash it because of the aforementioned issue with the frog's health. God, this frog just has an absolute death wish. This is... And Raziel, as we've been talking, got through the trick pretty cleanly. Not a first try, but faster than Muffin. We have a lead change on our hands. Raziel just took the lead back from Muffin due to swamp entry.
Yeah, Muffin, yeah, he's really having some trouble with this trick. His setup looks pretty good this time, and I think he's going to nail it from here, but some trouble with that frog manipulation. Sometimes these tricks, like one trick will just have your number, and it was swamp entry for Muffin today. He's still not that far behind, but that's, worrisome for his, victory in this race, because Raziel is just going to be faster and faster as the race goes on, and unless he makes a big mistake, I would expect him to sort of widen the gap. Muffin's gonna have to just play clean and hope for a slip up from Raz later on. A little spooky. Yeah.
There's a little damage boost you can do. It's like just a tiny bit faster, and because it's a tiny bit faster, even though it's way more dangerous, obviously we're gonna go for it. Muffin kind of almost died, but he didn't. We're fine. Muffin's made it to stop. So yeah, Raz on the left has a lead of, I don't know how much. I'm not really great at estimating these time differentials, but Raziel's going to be using Ringo the Frog. I didn't see him make a safety save for this.
Nah, who needs safety, right? It's fine.
Yeah. Don't need
it's
safety.
Not like it's
everything
right.
right.
Oh, actually, I saw the save just come off cooldown, so maybe he did make one. Oh, Muffin, I guess failed a dash glide, but had a save right after leaving from Stomp, so actually everything was fine. I thought that was a bad death, but it was okay.
Well, let's see if Raziel on the left can get his Crow cutscene skip. The frog hit him once. That shouldn't be that big a deal. Going to get in position. Didn't like the first shot. There's the second one. Did not get it, and Raziel is not going to reload. That's a pretty substantial time loss for Raz. It's not going to be alone enough for Muffin to catch back up, but that's certainly going to help.
Yeah, Muffin is going to need to nail this Crow cutscene skip, though. I think he's generally pretty good at this, so he has a good shot at evening things up here, but like we saw, Raz hadn't failed it yet in the tournament. And ooh, Muffin has to bash that frog to de-aggro it, but he gets into position and he nails that skip, so he is well on his way to catching up to Raz right now. Raz just doing this fancy movement out of the 5th energy cell, and oh, okay, Muffin's health is very concerning right now. I think he might be at 1. I hope he doesn't go for this damage boost, but it was...
Don't do it!
Oh,
Oh,
he's
God!
at 2! Okay, wow. Okay, Muffin knows his health way better than I know his health. It's like the second time this run that I thought he was dead.
That's what you call confidence, ladies and gentlemen. Holy cow. Nice job by Muffin to be aware of his health and not kind of panicking when you sort of take a bunch of hits. It can be easy to do that. But anyway, Raz is still in the lead, but by less than he was before. Muffin also had some issues getting the frog down, opened up a save anywhere pretty early. We see the same save anywhere open for Raziel. He just opened it up at a different time. So Raziel's through the cutscene here. We're going to see Muffin get through that same cutscene shortly. We still have a pretty close race on our hands, and we still have all of Sorrow, all of Misty. We have the lasers down in Blackroot Burrows that can wreck your day. This is a fun time. Lots of dangerous hazards ahead of us yet.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the first one coming up here is a trick we like to call Fast Stompless, where try to skip stomping on some rocks above the burrow's head by sniping them with a spider shot instead. It's not the easiest thing, and we will see Muffin catch up a little bit here because he already has Charge Dash, and that lets him move faster through this area. So that's going to be good for him. Raz using some double bashes to climb up here. He's got to grab this cell, and then he'll be onto his fast stomp. So he's got to aim a shot precisely, and then rush over and get an ability cell while it's flying, because might as well. Oh, there's Muffin's crazy juggling of this frog. It's charge dashing, and it's so good.
I'm just nervous. I'm paying attention. There's the shot from Raziel. He likes it, so he's going to dash out of the way. Question number 1, was the shot good? Question number 2, can he get to the cell in time? The answer to both questions is yes. That's very, very important that Raziel got that trick. And in the same vein, it's going to be very important that Muffin gets his, or that's going to give Raziel a pretty substantial lead. Fast Stompless is a rough one if you miss it.
Yeah. Okay, that was a nice shot from Muffin. His movement was a tad slow, but there's definitely room for this.
Oh, God.
Okay, he's going to miss the cell, I think. But as long as the shot hits, that's good for him.
He did not miss the cell.
Oh, wow.
He got to the cell. I don't know how the heck Muffin salvaged that, but GG, a successful Fast Stompless from Muffin as well.
Yeah, perfectly according to plan.
Totally planned. So Raziel on the left, these tricks just really start to fly by at this point in the run. Raziel's on Sorrow Bash, being the skilled player that he is. Yep, there's a nice double bash, which was required if you want to survive. He is through with a clean first try. Missed the cell for just a moment, but that is a-okay. So Raziel is going to continue through. We'll see some rocket jumps and whatnot to break some barricades out of sequence. Muffin does have a safety save, which Raziel decided to skip. So Muffin is coming up to not stomp with the freaking other trick with spikes in it.
Yeah, well, you don't stomp into these spikes, so it was pretty stompless. And one thing I do want to point out is Raz actually safety saved after getting Sorrow Bash, which is maybe an indication that he just wants to not lose a whole bunch of time. He's had some trouble in some of his tournament races with Sorrow Pass. Went well for him there, though, so, you know, the save giving him some confidence. And Muffin, as well, doing quite well in Sorrow Pass here. He had a save before the Spike Cave, and that slightly delays him because he has to wait for his save cooldown to do the Ghost Door, but he's, you know, extremely close, and I almost think that he caught some time up on Raz in Sorrow here, although, you know, maybe it's just because they're kind of close in the same area, but that was a nice Sorrow for both players, actually.
It was, and thankfully Raz exiting the charge jump area didn't take any unintentional deaths. We're going to bring back that word, deaths. Didn't die in the spikes here, got through his Terror Break just fine, is going to be floating up to the Sunstone. Muffin is right behind. I think Muffin definitely did gain some time. Look at that differential based on the Terror Break time. It's less than 24 seconds, which is what we had as a delta at Feather. So Muffin is definitely gaining time.
Yeah, and I guess one reason for that is because Muffin, the way he does his charge dash running, didn't need to take the cell at the start of Sorrow, which Raz did have to take a detour for. So it's good stuff for Muffin. He's going to grab that plant experience up at Sunstone, and then he'll be doing his reload shortly. Raz on his way down now. He's got to watch out for these lasers down here. And he's got a nice cycle, so he can stomp immediately. We'll see if Muffin gets the same or if he has to wait a bit. I think because he took the plant, he's going to have to just tap Feather once to make it safe, but that'll be fine for him. Raz, nice movement on down out of Sorrow Pass. Meteor kicking on down to Misty, but man, his energy is really low. I think he actually missed a stomp cancel up top that maybe he didn't intend to.
Raz should be okay, though. There's some movements that most runners, including Raziel, are going to be doing in just a moment that involves intentionally burning an energy. It's going to be right up here, one stomp cancel, and then didn't do the uncanceled one. Okay, so Raz, nice adaptation there in order to preserve one energy, and because of it, he can make a safety save with one energy remaining to go fast. Meanwhile, Muffin has also entered Misty Woods with the appropriate amount of energy, pulling off some nice charge dashes. Boy, we are going extremely fast.
Yeah, Raz did say that he wasn't going to watch the restream actively, but he was going to keep an eye on it from time to time. So I think this kind of play indicates he knows where he's at, and he knows that he's a little bit ahead. He just wants to avoid some big deaths, because Raz is pretty confident in his late game, and as long as he just plays well, like, he has enough of a lead that it's too difficult for Muffin to catch up, you know, within Misty Woods. Like, you could put anybody in this situation this far behind Raz, it's Misty Woods, and they wouldn't be able to catch up as long as Raz doesn't take a death or something. But Muffin is just, man, he's doing so well here. Even doing a charge dash through those spikes, and another high five around the climb tree as Raz heading through towards the third keystone as Muffin grabs that second last skill.
Now, this is one of, in my opinion, one of the most challenging areas in the run because you're trying to just go so fast, and as a result, you make relatively few safety saves. So even though Raziel is in the lead, a death here for Raziel would instantaneously set him back behind Muffin. But then, of course, even if Raz dies, Muffin could die too. It's an area that you always breathe a sigh of relief once you're through, and it's always an interesting question as for, in a race setting like this, which safety saves are you going to take, if any? Well, where Raziel is right now is a pretty common place to take one, and he is going to.
Yeah. He had an extra energy. I think he didn't burn one somewhere that you normally would, and that's why he was able to do that. Gets that rocket jump up really nice there, and getting all the way to that slime with the next charge dash. So Raz is just tearing apart Misty Woods. He even saves an energy there so he can save for the Misty mini boss. He even has another energy, so like if he messes up the quick kill, wow. Raz is just very, you know, energetic. I wanted to think of a better word, but energetic. And Muffin, meanwhile, did not make saves as far as I saw, and he is just tearing things up. Spams the charge dashes out. Those mini bosses were long dead, and he is on out of there too.
Muffin's play, even for the usual high-level Misty play that we see, Muffin is just playing out of his mind right now. It's not that Raziel isn't, but I mean, given that at this current moment in the race, Muffin is the underdog, it is really cool to see just how fast Muffin is going. Raziel, as you can see, is currently partway through his teleport animation, heading back to Black River Arrows for our final skill, Light Grenade, and look at Muffin just right now coming up to that same teleporter. This is still anybody's game.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting Raz to maybe pull ahead in the late game a little bit, especially since Muffin hasn't practiced Misty as much lately due to his different route where you grenade jump through instead. But he's just absolutely tearing it up. His stomp cancels are so like crisp and clean, such fast jumps into the next C dash. But he's just making up little bits of time here and there, completely opposite of what I expected. But Raz still holding a pretty significant lead going towards the end of the game, and wow, man, it's going to really come down to the ending here.
I mean, we have a bit of a mirror situation on our hands, right? In the first half of the game or so, Muffin was in the lead due to those bad deaths by Raziel back before wall jump, and it was a question of where is Muffin going to mess up to let Raziel take the lead. The answer ended up being Swamp Entry. Now we have an opposite question. Raziel is in the lead, although not by nearly as much. It's a question of if Raziel is going to mess up, where is it going to be? We did see Raziel, after picking up Light Grenade, go for a grenade jump. Although Muffin is probably our resident expert at grenade jumping, given that he used to go for a route that used them extensively. Wrath had some issues, though, coming out of that.
His rocket jump looks like it hit the spikes on the side, or maybe he charge jumped into them. So his health's low. He hasn't saved, and okay, bails out of the top row wisely. Oh no, Muffin has some trouble though. Tries to avoid the laser and gets spiked instead. So that's actually going to give Raz a pretty big lead heading towards Horu here. And man, Muffin's just got to play fast, and pretty much at this point he has to try to force Raz to do the final grenade jump, not let him just finish the run without even doing it. But man, it's
remember,
rough.
Raz isn't watching though, so he's not going to know if he can skip the grenade jump.
Well, he did say he'd look occasionally, so he might like check during door warp or something like that. But well, I mean, the cutscene, obviously, he's not going to alt tab while he's trying to do a trick. But okay, here comes Raz, actually picking up 6 health as well, so opting for some extra safety, kind of similar to how he was making saves in Misty and the like. Muffin's coming in fast. I think this is close enough that Raz will have to grenade jump, but I don't think that Raz is likely to soft lock, so unless door warp makes up the difference, then it's looking really good for Raz right now.
Well, here is our gatekeeper. We'll see if Raziel can get this first try. He really, really needs it. And he did. That is huge. Muffin is going to have to get a first or maybe second or third attempt if he wants to have a chance at this. Right now, the only hope for Muffin is that Raziel either dies in the escape or soft locks on the final grenade jump, or otherwise just has some kind of fiery hot spaghetti, which is going to let Muffin catch up. I mean, Raziel, he did say he's prepared to play 2 games, but he doesn't want game 2. Raziel just wants to close this thing out.
Yeah, so he's going to be rushing towards the end here, going through the escape. That was okay. I mean, you're invincible while you're charger dashing. Muffin pulls off that first try door warp, so he's right on Raz's heels. Raz is going to need to nail the rest of this stuff. He needs to grab his stomp in the water. We've seen people have trouble with this water before, but with 6 health, Raz is probably okay. So yeah, he's going to stomp in from pretty far away. That's 3 hits. That's 4. That was 5. So good thing he had 6 health.
This is the gatekeeper, dude. IMRaziel needs to get this grenade jump. If he doesn't get this grenade jump quickly, or if he soft locks, Muffin could take the win just from that alone. But IMRaziel is out, no soft lock. Assuming that we didn't get some weird half grenade jump scenario, that will be a win for IMRaziel, right down to the last second.
Yeah, and Muffin manages to barely save himself. He missed the grenade jump off the wall and managed to bash his way out just before the fire got to him. So he'll be going through his swim now. He'll be going for that last grenade jump. He probably, is looking at SRL's chat, hasn't seen that Raz finished yet, so he's definitely going for this. And here we go, setting up that last jump, and he gets it fast, and he is also going to be holding right, but Raz with that victory, and Raz definitely knows he's ahead because he was hopping there.
That is almost tragic. I mean, we did expect IMRaziel to win this going in, so this is not an unexpected result, but it's a little bit tragic that Muffin was so close to winning, even pulling off the first try grenade jump and the first try door warp, and it just wasn't quite enough because IMRaziel didn't make any mistakes. What a performance on both sides, though. That was a really good race.
Yeah, the one thing that you have to look at for Muffin, and I'm sure he's not had a good time with this trick before, and once again Swamp Entry giving him some trouble. That was really the big part where Raz was able to catch up. If he had nailed that, he may have taken this win, but nonetheless, Muffin played really well overall. That 32-12, not a bad time to go out on all the way in the division finals.
Well, Muffin had a final time of a 32-10, which is not the time that he wanted. Muffin, of course, had a goal of a PB sub 31 to try to beat Raz, but still a solid performance within a minute of his PB, whereas Raz did have a 31-36, just like 20-ish seconds or so slower than Muffin's PB. So all in all, I'd say this race, as we said, did turn out the way we expected. Maybe not quite the way we expected it to go, but I just hope that we can talk to these guys in an interview.
Well, we can talk to IMRaziel because he's in here, and there's Muffin as well. So we're joined by both players. GG, guys. I'm gonna ask you first, Raz. How are you feeling about that race? With the a little bit of topsy-turvy nature it had.
Yeah, it was all part of my tactics, just die like 3 times in glades and don't care about anything anymore. Man, that was insane. I had no idea what happened to Muffin, but yeah, I lost. So my wall jump time was 4 minutes 21. Take that, Trojan.
You sure wrecked a Trojan.
I mean, wait.
Well, speaking of early game mishaps, Muffin, you died to the Rana right at the start. My question to you is, did that help or hurt your nerves or mentality?
It didn't really affect them at all. I was still just as nervous. So I was just like, well, I knew something like this would happen, so whatever. But it was kind of funny. I just backflipped in the wrong direction, right? So I was like, oh shit, I'm a little too close to the wall, so I can't get the backflip momentum through. And so I tried to walk to the right to fix that, but that just ended up causing me to backflip to the right instead. And so so it was kind of funny that Raz had that glades, because I was like, man, if I had won this race, I was like ready to say something. I was like, if I can beat Raz with a 330 wall jump, then there's still hope for Trojan. But I guess Raz has a better line than I do.
Well, I guess to go back then, Muffin, I'll ask you another question. Obviously, with that loss, you are unfortunately out of the tournament, given that Raz, being in the upper bracket, had that one sort of quote-unquote one-win advantage compared to you. How are you feeling about how far you got in the tournament in your overall performance?
Thank God I don't have to play again. I'm not really a competitive person, so like the tournament's kind of a weird space for me. But it's fun to also kind of like think of strategies and stuff, because one of my favorite aspects of a tournament race is it's not a PB attempt. And if you go at like tournament races, you're gonna lose a lot of your matches, or come really close to losing a lot of the matches, like we've seen in a lot of like the top tier runners' performances so far. And so like it's been a lot of fun for that reason. But I just get way too nervous for these things, man. I'm ready after like 2 months of this to like take a rest and pick up a different speed game. Oh man.
I don't think you'll be the only one. I know we had a lot of that in the last tournament too. Like, great as speed game as Ori is, once you grind it for a trillion hours, you kind of want to move on a little bit.
Yeah, but no, I'll definitely. I might pick up like all cells, no risk. Excuse me, no out of bounds, no teleport anywhere. I just have to learn to manually double bash better.
Sure. Well, Sigma,
you did pull one manual double bash out in the redirect to save yourself there.
I did. Sick. Yeah, I was like, please, dear God, let this work. And it did. So, and then I didn't have to do a double bash backup for Fast Stompless either, so that was nice. Yeah. It just turned out to be a pattern that I've practiced before.
Well, to toss back to you, Raziel, then, I asked Muffin about how his mentality was changed given the early death, even though it wasn't very costly or anything. Your deaths were costlier. And you told us in advance that you weren't watching the restream, but that you might check like once or twice. You did check, right? Like once or twice?
Yeah, I checked actually many times, I think.
Okay.
It's each skill tree. Well, no. So I checked at Stomp, and I saw that I was actually ahead already. So yeah, after that I checked almost at every tree. Yeah, but I was already super nervous, so checking didn't actually made me any more nervous.
Sure. Well, I guess I have one more question for you, Raz, which is just a very basic one. You, unlike Muffin, are not out of the tournament. You are still within the the Ori dungeon. You're not allowed to leave. So you have to continue on. Have to makes it sound so bad. How are you feeling about your future matchups? How far are you going to go in this tournament?
Well, my goal was to reach the quarterfinals, which was the same as I did on last year's tournament. But if I can overcome my nerves and have some clean play, I know that I can reach the finals, because my next opponent would be either Stefu, Oshi, or Wilson, which I could potentially beat, and then on the semifinals would be Monkley, Trojan, or Cheese, which I could also potentially beat. So I wish I could just get over my nerves and get some clean play. But I'm happy. If I lose on the next round, I'll be happy with my performance on the tournament.
Yeah, dude, get there. I believe in you, man. Like, I'm really glad you're moving on, dude. You really deserve it.
Yeah, you definitely had a good performance in this tournament so far, Raz, and I wouldn't be surprised to see you, make it through your next, even like all the way to the finals. It could happen, as you said, but I will ask if we're gonna look way down and see far into the future. You've already made it to the finals. Who's your opponent gonna be?
It's a pretty good question. I think it's gonna be either you or Ronnie, to be honest. Most likely Ronnie, because that dude is insane.
You're probably right. And of course it could be Elo too, but it's, man, this bracket is scary, dude.
Yeah, it's true. The lower part of the quarterfinals bracket is just insane.
Richard on stats, our lovely restreamer, telling us that it could also be Terra. I just want to correct everyone and tell everyone it could not. Wait, can't happen.
Who?
I think it's the guy that drinks 2 beers before each race.
The 2 beer strats.
Raz, you also went for 2 beer strats, by the way, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And I think it's partially because of that I died 3 times in Glades. I think it was 3. I think I was over relaxed. I need to go for the 1 beer strat only.
I'm gonna experiment with it in your next race, but otherwise, thanks very much for talking with us, you guys. That was a super exciting race to watch.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, GG Muffin.
GG Raz.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and close up. So Sigma, what do we have coming up next?
Well, on SG1, after we close out, there's going to be some NMG, no major glitches, for Link to the Past. So that's going to be pretty sick. And we have another division final. I believe that's the Cheese Trojan one later this evening in about 2 hours, 15 minutes from now. So that will be on SG1 as well, and that is going to be a sick match. So if you want to just sit on SG1, watch NMG, and then continue sitting on SG1, there's going to be more Ori there. So that's going to be sweet. I'll see you guys there for that, and you guys have a good evening, or afternoon, or, night. I don't know. Time zones.
Time zones are impossible, but yeah, we will see you all later. Thanks to Richard on Restream. Thanks to Fant and Hobbs on Stats. We'll catch you all later.
Damage as they head through. So, ooh, nice job. And wow, Yoko. Oh,
No,
my
oh no,
goodness.
Yoko. Oh my goodness. Please be careful.
He hasn't taken any really bad deaths as result, but
Oh no!
Why did I say that? Why did I say that?
Yeah, true shade. So we're gonna see what D2 decides to do. Nice safety save there, and wow, the value from the safety save.
The trick itself requires precisely positioning a frog and managing your XP, but because that can happen, because that froggy has a chair and it can stomp it right on your tiny little head.
Oh god, Milton, get out of there!
Holy crap, the recovery from that.
It's deceptive. Ooh, deceptively difficult. Rufus,
Holy
so close.
crap, Rufus.
Oh.
Oh god.
Fix it.
And what is happening now?
I don't know.
Oh, Monkey's shot going through.
Oh, Cheese missed the double bash though. He's gotta go back up. Monkey's shots are phasing before. I hope he does not get that on the upper one. Cheese has broken into Swamp.
Oh, Monkley getting hit by the shot.
Little that Terra did. Oh, missing that, but he's got the backup. That's okay. Oh my gosh.
Oh god.
Oh my gosh. Okay, try again. Just this time you can get to the platform.
What you've seen from runners like Lucidus, Uncle Ronnie, and Eviona so far in the tournament, and oh wow.
Damn.
I do not know how he survived.
Both runners getting that fifth.
Oh, Randomson had a really... Wow, what a nice backup, though. Randomson had trouble with the first spider shot, but now it's basically tied.
Go stomp the rocks. And oh,
Fluffy,
I didn't know you could do that.
Oh,
you really just
goodness.
keep moving and skip that cutscene?
Oh god, Ori's in the air! Hello!
Oh no. Oh, Frankie. Frankie, please go away. Oh, that is so painful.
Oh, this is a party. Luckily, he does have a safety.
Yeah, oh, mini boss not quite going according to plan. Melvin's gonna go with the stomp spam. Keep that frog away. Get out of here. Don't hit me with your chair. He says he gets through it okay, and we'll be just finishing up Misty.
The section is really difficult with the 5 health. Alright, he gets the bash off of the fish. So yeah, he gets through, but upcoming here is...
He's spawned Crow!
Oh, he takes it death! Richard is in the lead. No, they're tied. Richard just died as well.
What?
This is literally synced in the final escape, guys. Unbelievable.
They both stopped the thing together. Okay.
Each one of those grenades costs one. He's got one left. That's enough for 2 grenade jump attempts. If he keeps missing in that particular way, he's got one chance left.
One more.
And he gets it! The
First
clutch.
try, and well, not first try, but you know what? First try.
We'll call it first try.
Right as Richard comes out, we're all leaving.
Hey, Richard.
Bye, Richard.
We saw you just close down the stream and we're like, oh fuck, we have to get out of here.